Welcome to the Riley June Show. I am your host, Riley June, intuition master coach and spiritual activator. This podcast is here to support you on your growth and ascension journey, for those new to learning about their energy and for light leaders to set a standard in their work and practices within the industry. Running a multi-six-figure business as a light leader comes with great responsibility. And as I expand my work into the corners of the globe to help others reconnect with who they truly are, just know your time spent here with me is held sacredly. And for light leaders, it's time to show up. We have a massive mission to raise the awareness of human consciousness in our globe. So let's get to work. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode. I am really excited for you to be able to experience all the beautiful changes and offerings and expansion and content that is going to be coming to light for you in this new year. If you're listening to this episode, it is one of many that has been pre-planned for you before the end of the year. Today's episode is more dominantly for my spiritual entrepreneurs in what you can do to help yourself stand out in 2022. I had a free webinar the other night talking about this and going in depth about it. And you can shoot me a message if you'd like the replay for this. But why I wanted to share this with you is because so often we get very caught up in how am I going to be the next Gabby Bernstein? How am I going to be the next Tony Robbins? How am I going to be the next insert high-level spiritual teacher, right? And we forget that we aren't supposed to be them. And on your journey, whether you're just getting started or maybe you're in that space where you feel like you're on the hamster wheel of not seeing the success that you want, there's two reasons why that is occurring, and we're going to break that down. And I'm going to share with you 5 things to help you to really sit back, plan, strategize, and infuse within your business model in this next year to come. I was feeling called to go on this really beautiful walk this morning out into the pasture fields outside of my property, and I was being reminded that we get to look back at the own steps that we've taken. I'm going to read to you the passage that I wrote in my most recent Instagram post because it's really just a true testament of the importance of sticking to and following through with your own journey and vision. So I wrote, "This morning I sat with God in gratitude of everything that's taken place over the past 3 years. I was called to walk through the freshly plowed fields off our property and take notice of the nurturing and process of how good crops are grown. It takes patience, hope, and faith, structure, and a plan to take beautiful, abundant, filled ideas and manifest them in reality. I was reminded of my own steps I've taken to grow the life I have today, the times it doesn't work out, and where I have learned because of that to adjust the plan. The times things work out better than expected, and what it took to get there. And even after sitting in this moment with God, after everything I was shown, on my way back, the awareness kept moving through to turn around and measure the steps I've taken with my own vision of where I am going. Too often we discount our own journey because it doesn't look like someone else's. We overlook the value of reevaluating our own shortfalls and how you get to truly make it better next time. We skip over the love and joy that comes from the very crop which is our life, which is your life that has grown from the seeds you planted many weeks, months, and even years before. Today, God showed me my journey, and I will forever be grateful to know I've always been on the right path, and so have you been too." And this is something that came through so clearly because as I ascend into a new level of identity that I am embodying within myself, being a millionaire visionary and having a company that runs with that level of responsibility and understanding and strategy, right? it's so marketed to have the 6-figure business, to have the 7-figure lifestyle, to make the 10K months, to have the 6-figure launches, right? Like there's an element of beauty and power within people who get to experience that. Well, what's really important to understand that if you're either not seeing the results of that or you're just getting started and you're striving for that, to not discount the journey of learning how to get there. People are either going into those experiences having a team behind them or sitting down and doing the work to get there. Don't discredit and discount the work that is required. Right? It took me 2 years to finally, scrape together at the time the money to invest in my first coach. It took me another 6 months to follow through with the implementation of all the things that I learned. It took me then an additional year to be able to actually see the fruits of my labor while equally understanding the value of investing in people who were where I wanted to be so I could expedite that process instead of trying to take all the notes from all the free podcasts that I could find. That's how I started, and I don't discount or discredit that journey. It taught me so much, and I am so grateful for all those long hours and late nights, and even still to this day, in the last 3 weeks, I have had 1 or 2 nights a week where I started at 10 and I ended at 9. Right? 10 in the morning, 9 in the evening. Because right now there are certain things that my business requires, strategy, structure, planning, processes, to make sure that that 7-figure yearly income that I strive and desire to have can be sustained and I don't come crashing down, right? So we can tune into the glamour and the glitz of what that looks like. But money is really just a measurement. It's a byproduct of what you show up with in your business because people want to buy from you. You could go on the internet, my spiritual entrepreneurs, and you can type in hashtag psychic, hashtag Reiki healer, hashtag energy coach, manifestation expert, whatever. And you're going to get a plethora of other people who do those very things and be able to find them. Right? But what do you, as that Reiki healer, psychic, medium, energy coach, holistic practitioner, bring to the table that's different than everyone else? And the answer, I'm going to shortcut this for you. The answer is you. And so I'm going to dive into the 5 things to help you stand out in 2022. Some may surprise you, and others you'll likely find are just are what you thought they would be, and that's great because if you were already anticipating them, then even more of a reason for you to sit down and actually just plan it out. So make sure you have your pen and paper. Go and pause this or come back to this if you're driving in your car and write these things down. So the 5 that I'm going to be breaking down for you today is values and fun. That is number 1. 2 is community. 3 is building your lists. 4 is brand experience. And 5 is collaboration. So let's go into each one of those separately. So first and foremost, the thing that's going to give you the edge above everyone else is the values of what you stand for. Right? That might be a specific thing in the world. That might be ethics. That might be freedom. That might be overall health. Like depending on what you offer as a service or who you want to help and with what, the values surrounding your experience that you serve with, and equally, most importantly, what you lead your every life with in your personal life, making decisions with in mind, is what is going to give you that embodied experience that your clients, even your potential clients, are going to keep coming back for. The second one is fun. People want to be entertained and they want to be educated. And so if you bring you, wholeheartedly you, to the table and you can educate them along the way while standing in your values, people will respect that so much more. And if your price points are higher than others, people will be more willing to pay more because they see you living your life and standing for something that you believe in. And the best thing that has happened over 2020 and 2021 is that small businesses are a huge how do I want to word this? Like, everybody's looking to support small businesses now. So a huge advantage to you. So to stand out, share, be transparent. What are your values? What do you stand for? How do you make and infuse those values into your daily life and decision making? And bring the fun. Scarcity mindset will get you to 6 figures. I learned that. 7 figures is going to require you to actually genuinely just have fun with what you're doing. And entrepreneurship is not for everyone. You know, it's a very glamorous and blissed out looking lifestyle, and it very much is. But there is hard work that is required to be involved in the success of your entrepreneurship journey. And so if you're not having fun along the way, it's not a bad thing to go and get the job working for somebody else. That's not a bad thing. For whatever reason, it's like painted as this like terrible thing in our society. It's not. But understand that if you're going to pave your own way, you are responsible for learning how to pave your own way. Number 2, community. This is a dual-edged sword in the best of ways. Both, where can you start building a community of like-minded people that are involved in you and your work, and where are you involved in a community space or have that support to get you to where you want to be. I used to think that I could just build the community and not have the community support, and very quickly found out that I wasn't going to get anywhere if I didn't have my own community support. It's one thing to lead and guide and help and teach people. It's another thing to be led, guided, and taught from people who are where you want to be or are just in like-minded spaces, whether it's accountability, whether it's a space that you invest into. So important. So community, building a community experience is a really beautiful thing, whether it be free, whether it be a membership, some place where people can access more quality from you. That could be a podcast, right? Something where people get to have more of you. You are choosing to put your life into the ether of the internet and the world, and you can reach up to 7 billion people at a time, right? Well, though Instagram kind of has their own limitations on that, I really believe that regardless of the algorithm, regardless of the algorithm, you're still reaching people. There is no threshold that says this is what makes you go viral and doesn't. We're in a realm where natural virality is so much more achievable than getting to the audience growth that you want through paid ads. So community, build communities, create a space full of invitation for other people to be a part of, and if they're loving it, to invite others into that space too. Number 3 is list building. Now, one thing that's really important to understand is your audience is never guaranteed. So just because you may have 600 followers on Instagram or 10,000 followers on Instagram or so on and so forth, that does not mean you are guaranteed to those people. Our platforms are ever changing, right? A couple years ago, we didn't have Instagram. Actually, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago it came to be, but we didn't have it before then, and Facebook only started shortly before that. And now, because of all the censorship, other people are building platforms, and so who's to say that the ones that we're using today are going to be relevant in the future? Now, for those of you who are just getting started, your work is in showing up and learning. That's your main focus, and really infusing those values and that fun and that community element for you. If you're someone who feels like you're on the hamster wheel and you're not seeing the success that you want, it's time to start implementing things that are actually going to help you to grow and expand your business. And this is something that really frustrated me a lot when I started getting into the world of hiring and becoming a part of programs with teachers, is that they never really taught you about what you actually need to build a business. And it was a lot of spiritual development, energy, mindset development, working through limiting beliefs, and show up and share your offer. And that works when you're just getting started. That's literally the bulk of your work. But if you really want to create a scalable, profitable business that is sustainable, there are actual structural things that are required to have in place, and list building is absolutely one of them, arguably well before you even have a website. And when I, like, side note, designed the Align and Ascend Mastermind, it was literally with what I couldn't find and didn't have in mind, because it was such a disservice, I really truly believe. Spiritual teachers who offer business building, and they don't actually teach you what is required either now or to plan for in the future when it comes to legalities and lists and website stuff and irresistible programs, and how to actually have ways and funnels to get people into different containers where you're not having to always be showing up to work, right? Magnetism is a huge part of this, so that's spiritual development. But there's also a masculine importance that is required in actually building like a business. A business is a very masculine thing, and you get to infuse it with all your beautiful divine femininity and your ways of doing things. But the sustainability of your business requires actually knowing how to build a business. And so that's what I've infused in the Align and Ascend Mastermind, which opens on January 9th for enrollment till the 16th, by the way. Shameless plug. So list building. So for those of you who feel like you're on the hamster wheel, MailChimp, Privy, Privy.com. Both of them have free options where you can get started learning and playing around with how to build and create an email list. And YouTube is a great resource to learn how to navigate that. So don't discredit resourcefulness, especially if you're someone who maybe isn't in a position to necessarily invest in a community space right now, but also don't discount yourself in your ability to get resourceful to get into community spaces either. So list building is going to be really, really important because not only is it another place where you get to add value, but in 2022, how this is relevant to helping you stand out is that you have a space where now you have a number that you can start leveraging to share with people in how you're giving value. So one is in your Instagram following, right? So that's audience acquisition, which we're going to go into in a moment with collaboration. Right? People see that you have some form of authority because of your audience, the people who are coming into your space, whether that's one person, 7,000 people, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter. But list building is something where you can share, I have this really beautiful sacred email space where I send you out weekly tips and tricks or meditation hacks and tools and the practices that I'm doing, and 300 people are loving it so far, or the people in my email list are loving these sacred tips and hacks that I am sharing with them weekly. It's a container, it's a community space. Though everyone may not have access to everyone, it's another way where you're building a connection with someone personally. And so when it comes to email marketing specifically, you have to think about what you do and do not like when it comes to emails and how you can do better, right? So emails are something where if we get subscribed to them all the time for different things, there's opt-ins for so many different things, and then they most of the time just end up in the junk mail. So how are you providing even more value so people are going and looking for that? That's really important to sit with. Okay, number 4 is brand experience. So whether you like it or not, you are your brand. Okay, unless you run a product-based company, you are the brand. So yes, the colors are important, but your brand experience is very much going to be built on the values and the fun, literally number 1, that you bring to this world. Curating an experience that is you and bringing your audience alongside your vision. Your brand is about you. It is about your growth. It is about what you offer. It is about the direction that you're going. And so the colors are important for psychological purposes and just having something that people associate a color with you. So if you've interacted with any of my stuff, a lot of my things are this like mauve pink color or roses. So now I have people, because I've been doing this for the same in the same way for the past 2 years with relatively the same colors, people will associate that mauve pink color with me without me even being there, without my name even being seen. It's a shirt in the store and they think of me. Or roses. I've had people reach out to me and say, I bought roses today and I thought of you. Beautiful, right? So creating a brand experience is about thinking of ways, symbols, icons, colors, signs that you associate with you and sharing that with others there is a really beautiful soul that I'm connected with. Her name is Rita, and she often shares about how she gets all these flies around her apartment and place, and they're this sign and what it means to her, and the number 44, 444, and the sequences of 4. And so people will tag her when they see flies, which is a very common thing all the time, right? Or the number 44 in sequences. So creating a brand experience is not only just about the visuals of what people see, but also about the psychological experience that they have when you're not even around and they're not on their phone, right? And so when we're talking about your brand experience, it really is involved with the values that you hold, what you stand for, the fun that you bring to the world, and how you're helping people to become better or to heal within their own lives, ultimately. And number 5 is collaboration. So if you're someone who has a smaller account on whatever platform that you use for your work or want to use for your work, collaboration is going to be the key to getting you that growth and that success that you truly desire to have. So you have to understand that you're going to sell more the more eyeballs you have on your work. That is the name of the game. So collaborating with people who are either, similar in the journey of where you are, or people, ask your mentors if you have one, if what you're doing and how you want to collaborate with them, or if they would highlight you on something. All of my students in my mastermind program have a spot designated for them when they're ready on my podcast, so you're going to hear from them. So that's a way that I support my entrepreneurs that I teach, is I give them a spot on my podcast to spread their work. I also have recently stopped doing readings. So any of my students or clients that I teach how to do readings and that aligns with them and they go out in the world and they share that, I highlight them. I share them on my stories. I shout them out and share their work, right? So collaboration is going to be one of your greatest assets to not only building your audience faster, but also coming back to number 2, that community, right? It's going to help you to be in alignment and in connection with other people who are either doing the thing you want to do and where you want to be, or who are equally alongside a similar position in that journey. Collaboration is going to make it so much more fun and exciting for everyone involved, because now you have more energy infused into the experience. So I want to, for a moment, just give you a breakdown of how I know these things are true and why this is relevant to helping you stand out in 2022. So we talked about the 5 things to help you stand out, and here's how I know that this is the case of what you need to focus on. First and foremost, with values and fun, everyone is super divided, right? So everyone at this point is either sick of hearing about all the COVID shit in the world and the shots and blah, 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 and black and white and all the stuff, right? I'm not discounting that they exist. I'm saying people are sick of hearing about it. So when you stand for something that's powerful and you wholeheartedly believe in, people really respect that, and it shows a level of integrity within you. The second one being community. We have been more divided than ever before, dependent upon where people are at in their beliefs of all the things happening in the division in the world. People are seeking community more than they ever have. List building is going to help you for the profitability aspect of your business. Your brand experience is going to be the visual aspects and the psychological aspects that help you to stand out above the rest. And the collaboration is not only going to show authority in you having the balls to ask people to do things with them, but also in just having more fun along the way with what you're doing. And when you're having fun, money is a byproduct of that experience. And this is how I know this is definitely true. I have done a case study with my own work from 2018 to October 2021 based on my audience and my revenue. So starting in 2018, I had less than 200 followers on Instagram, and that was the year where I showed up online. I had no freaking idea what I was doing. I had just completed a course in learning how to be a psychic medium, and I was realizing that I was incredibly intuitive. I was blown away that other people didn't know that, and I had an oracle card deck, and I wanted to help people move through their blocks. And I really didn't even know what moving through their blocks meant. I just knew that this was working and I could help someone. And as a byproduct of just showing up, because I knew this was something that I was good at, that I was capable of, and most of the time, the first 5-10 minutes, if you've been with me since the beginning of my journey, I was showing up on the lives with my cat, like acting like an idiot and making a silly cat voice that I do. I made $8,800 in 2018. And I want to arguably say that I wasn't even trying. I just found something I loved, found something that worked, and I just showed up as me and had some fun. In 2019, I realized that I could actually go somewhere with this. And so this is where I grew my audience just from showing up the previous year before to around 800 people on Instagram. I think that was around the same time where I started my Facebook business page and took what I was doing a little more seriously. I grossed $32,000 in 2019. This was also the year where towards the end of it, I took the rent that we needed to pay the following month and I invested in a coach. So when I say, don't discount your resourcefulness in getting what you need to get into the spaces you want to be in, this is literally what I'm talking about. I had no idea how to structure, budget, plan, anything. I literally leaped with hope, dreams, and faith that it was all going to work out. Around the end of 2019, I also watched my husband for that entire year really struggle when he should have been recovering from his open heart surgeries, try and make a living for us. And it was an absolute nightmare. He ended up face down in the dirt with a heart attack on one of his sites. And he came home that day and I said, okay, you're going to be pissed. I just invested our rent in a coach. I didn't tell you. I'm so sorry. Hashtag didn't have good communication skills. And he came home and said, well, that sucks because I just had a heart attack and I can't do this anymore. And it almost brings tears to my eyes because I think back to that moment and how pivotal that was in my life, where I realized that not only did I make what seemed like such an irrational decision, but was the fucking best decision I could have ever made in hindsight of my life. That was the year where my husband retired in November of 2019. We decided he was going to stay home. I didn't know how I was going to make more money, how I was going to grow, how everything was going to happen. But I knew that this was the coach that was going to support me in getting started. And I also knew that he couldn't go back to work. And so I got to work. Late nights didn't just stop all of a sudden because of whatever reason, because I wanted to tell people I worked 3 days a week. No, I worked 6 days a week, sometimes 7, long hours, because I was building something that not only was important to me and my family, but I was seriously seeing people's lives transform, and it became an absolute non-negotiable. To the point where even though we had a pandemic in 2020, I grew my audience to over 2,000 people that year, and I grossed over $114,000. It took me essentially 3 years from I don't know what the fuck I'm doing to investing in the people to help me to making over 6 figures. And you can do that too. And if you want that process to go faster, hire the people who are going to get you there. Through and through, every time, listen to any high-level entrepreneur, coach, life, anybody who's done anything big in their life, they're going to tell you the same thing. I studied the people that do great things in the work. I still study them because it is ever evolving as new people keep coming up. And it's the same thing. Your mindset, your beliefs, and your investment in the direction that you want to go every single time. And even though we had a pandemic, I was wildly successful at what I was doing because I kept showing up and I had fun and I infused my values and I stood damn strong in them. If you've listened to any of my previous episodes or followed me on Instagram at all, to the point where now in October of 2021, I have built across different platforms over 7,000 followers, which still isn't a lot. However, that's not the point. Value and fun are going to be your attractors for making revenue, period, every time. And so as of October 2021, I've grossed more than I did the previous year and 2 months earlier than the end of the year. So I sit at $114,000. And I'm a couple $100 more than I was in the entirety of 2020. And so I share this with you because it's really important to understand that the other piece that's really important to gather when it comes to numbers getting bigger over time is the compaction. The compaction. I don't know what I was doing there. The compaction of people paying for services over time, right? So if you want to run higher ticketed programs and courses, when it's one-off services like healings or readings, I don't recommend you do a payment plan. I think that's just going to end up causing you a lot more problems than you want to deal with. But when it comes to like longer term programs or coaching packages, do the payment plans. This is how you start to build on financial freedom, because you're no longer exchanging money for time all the time. It's carrying over in months where maybe you run a 4-week program and they have 8 weeks to pay it off. I don't know how you're going to work that out. You can use PayPal for biweekly payments. But then, that second month where you're not doing that coaching, you still have those payments coming in, right? And then you just keep building on that. Right? Entrepreneurship is about leveraging your creativity and equally learning systems. So now I'm at the point in my business where I hire team members. So I have back-end processes to support the onboarding of said teams so they understand what they're doing with my company coming into it. I have a deeper understanding of funnels and how I get to leverage those and pipelines to build my email list. I have the collaborations and the networks that I equally also pay into. They aren't just free, to meet other high-level people to be able to spread my work in this world. And as of 2022, I will very, very likely, through even what I have calculated in just wait lists that are available, cross the $250,000 mark, right? So it's like those numbers are bright and shiny, but you do have to understand the value of putting in the work. So I'm going to invite you to really sit down with this episode. I have opened up 3 spaces, and make sure you email me or reach out to me, DM me, because there might not be any left. But I have opened up 3 spaces as I am recording this for my Soul Accelerator. So what this is 1 month of laser coaching for you. We're going to go deep in intuition development to expand your consciousness. We're going to really break down the core of your limiting beliefs and what it's going to require for you and how you can move through and heal that. And we're also, if you are, especially are an entrepreneur, we're going to spend 1 call really diving into the strategy for you to either hit the ground running into 2022 or to create that strategy for you to close out this year being very profitable for you. There's also unlimited Voxer support, which is a communication app for you, and any PDFs relevant to the work we're going to be doing together. Each one is going to be tailored to the specific person. These, the Soul Accelerator coaching package is $1,111. This is an absolute fraction of the price that I normally charge, and I, as of January, will no longer be offering anything less than 6-month coaching packages because I understand what is required when it comes to long-term success, and I'm also not going to be really offering one-on-one very much either, for the specific reason that if I'm working with you one-on-one, I want to be able to help people who are showing up to help many, many people. And so my one-on-one coaching is not going to go away, but it's really going to be for a very specific type of person. In 2022, you're going to see a lot more group experiences. One of them being the Mastermind, the Align and Ascend Mastermind opens January 9th to 16th for enrollment, and then we begin February 2nd. So if you are someone who really wants to close out this year with acceleration and hyper focus, then this Soul Accelerator 1-month coaching package is going to be for you. So message me. There may still be a spot left. And if not, the Align and Ascend Mastermind is going to be here to support you. Also, side note, if you do choose to go with a Soul Accelerator, assuming that they're still available when you reach out, half of the cost or half of the investment of the package is going to be applied as a discount for the mastermind. So not only does this then help you to build into something bigger, but it also gets you a foot in the door now where you can start getting to work. So I love you. All the details are going to be in the show notes as always. And don't forget to find the magic in today. Hey, before you go, I wanted to take a moment to just thank you so much for tuning in with me each and every week. If you weren't already aware, new episodes drop on Mondays. If you could please be so kind as to screenshot this episode, just tag me on Instagram at Riley June with your biggest takeaway, or if you know someone who could really use the insight and guidance provided to you in this session today, I would love for you to go ahead and share this directly to them. I look forward to continuing to bring you insight, guidance, and self-mastery activation tools that you can implement into your life now to truly evolve and become the divine expander that you are. All right, I cannot wait to chat with you soon. And remember, don't forget to go and find the magic in today.